All right, think of Khadi and your mind probably goes straight to Mahatma Gandhi, spinning away on his charkha, rallying a nation not just with his words but also with yarn. Khadi wasn't just cloth, it was protest, self-reliance, Swadesi stitched into every thread. But that was then. What does Khadi stand for today?
So much more. Over the last few years, Khadi has made huge strides from good old government emporiums. It's finding new life in spaces that may have been unthinkable a few decades ago. Not just on runways, but in classrooms, studios, even in design labs. Khadi's latest revival isn't just about nostalgia, it's about reimagination.
Right, and that reimagination, that reinvention, that's actually been in play for a few years now. It's happening in warp and in weft. The weave stays, but the story shifts. Think beyond the kurta. We're talking this homeware, experimental silhouettes, conceptual textiles, where the imperfections of hand-spun are a feature, not a flaw. The fabric that was once seen as coarse is being embraced for its raw, organic honesty and for what it represents: sustainability, identity, maybe even a little bit of rebellion all over again.
And this is all while Khadi is in its OG form, as they say, is seeing an all-time high in its popularity. At the Mahakumbh this year, for example, Khadi products brought more than 12 crores of exhibitors. So what is fueling this sort of simultaneous creative resurgence and mainstream surge as well? What does Khadi mean to a new generation of makers and weavers? And how do you interpret a legacy without really diluting it? What does the future of this deeply Indian fabric look like in the world that's moving very, very fast but yearning to also slow down? To talk to us about this, we've got two very interesting guests. We've got Gaurav Khanijo joining us. He's the founder and also a designer himself. Hi, good morning, Gaurav. We also have with us Professor and Dr. Sudha Dhingra. She's the Dean at NIFT, the Project Director of the Center of Excellence for Khadi as well. It works in association with the Ministry of MSME. So glad to have both of you this morning. Sudha ma'am, if I can come to you first. We gave a glimpse in our intro on the evolution of Khadi. If you were to define it in your own words, to say what Khadi means today, where it has come now, both in terms of interpretation, occupation, how would you take it?
Yeah, so, we started this project in 2021 at NIFT by MSME. And when we asked some of the young designers, students who were studying with us, called them randomly and asked them, what is Khadi? They all said that this is something which is thick, which is coarse, which is like jute, which is unattractive and things like that. These were the vocabulary, the words that we got. And we thought that this is a time to educate them that Khadi can be very fine muslins coming from Murshidabad or, from other places also. You have Khadi in different weights and different material. It is basically, as you said, hand-spun, hand-woven fabric in pure textiles, cotton, wool and silk. So the first step we took was that we started thinking of color in it because everybody associated it with ecru, off-white, beige and things like that. So we took the existing Khadi, we dyed it in natural dyes and we started with a younger silhouette, fabrics that our students or, my younger team was wearing. And when we presented it at a fashion show at NIFT, homegrown kind of a show, students were modeling for it, they wore it, they found it very, very comfortable. They had never worn something like that because the generation now wears most of the time either knitted material or synthetics and things like that. So they were very amazed to see that. Many of them came to us and said, where can I buy this from? And experimented with Khadi on their own because they can stitch their own clothes and things like that. That was the beginning. And then we saw that when we presented it at fashion shows, at exhibitions, people wanted to touch it and feel it. And found it, people who experimented it with, found it very, very comfortable. As you know, Khadi is warm in winters and cool in summers, the same cloth.
Yeah.
So my first was transition of my own team, the younger textile designer, fashion designer and communication designer, that they started wearing it as an office wear. And now almost through the week, they wear Khadi material.
Lovely.
That was the starting, yes.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about something you already touched on, fashion. Gaurav is with us. Let's just go over to him to understand a little bit more. Can you take us back to 2014 when you first gave birth to Khanijo? Tell us a little bit more about your original idea around incorporating Indian fabrics, specifically Khadi. Also tell us, because our audiences may or may not know, Khadi has already been on the international stage. In Moscow, multiple Indian designers showed their designs with Khadi. What were the challenges that you came across there, Gaurav? Tell us, what were the exciting parts about the fabric that, when you had international clients coming up, what were they most curious about?
My love for the fabric came much early in life. I was in school and I studied in modern Barakhamba, and they taught us that Mahatma Gandhi was the one who designed our uniform for the school. So we were wearing khadi at a very young age. We were wearing cottons, and it was beautifully dyed in blues. And I think that was the fascination that kind of stayed with me till I studied fashion and I started making clothes. But again, like ma'am was speaking right now, people associate khadi with a very coarse and rough and a very generic fabric, which it is not to begin with. It's a slow-made textile. It's very premium. If you go to any khadi gram udyog and you ask for khadi, they will show you. You start with 250 count, 300 count, and then when you stay 450, 500, they open a safe and they literally take out a packet which is wrapped in brown paper, and then the khadi, and it's just 11 meter of textile, and it's the pure muslin, which starts from about 3,000, 3,500, 4,000 rupees a meter. So it's a very premium textile of our country. It's also a symbol of India's independence. The real and true influencer of our times, Mahatma Gandhi, or those times, independence. So I believe that this textile really deserves its love and due respect, which young designers like ourselves are doing that. And that's why it's highly, it's being picked up by countries across the globe, across big brands, across the top-notch fashion houses. So when you take khadi, and it's just not cotton, anything which is hand spun and hand woven, it could be wool, it could be silk, that's all khadi. And which is what was the fascinating part when we exhibit and we take our textile to, we did a show in Qatar National Museum, we did a show with bricks recently in Moscow. And oh God, they know, people who are in textiles, they touch it and they can tell the way it falls, the way it shows its luster. It's just because it's handmade. Simple, and that's the challenging part also, because you can't scale it up. So if you have one than made, if you want to do mass production, that's one thing that we, but that's also the beauty of the textile, because it's the character. You can't repeat the same thing. There will be a bit of about 10% variations, but that's bound to happen.
So we've kind of, from both your answers, established the identity of Khadi of today, right? It's no longer just something that our netas would wear. It's making its way to the runways, and it's becoming a power suit even for working women, which is great to see. So versatility established. The next tag, and Sudha ma'am, come in on this one. How do we go beyond just the sustainability tag of Khadi in the era of fast fashion, in the era of Instagram scrolling, where the thumb stops wherever it stops? How do you ensure that Khadi actually makes its way beyond and becomes an identity just beyond the sustainability tag?
Sustainability, yes. Carbon footprint is very low for Khadi because you can do it with indigenous cotton, indigenous wool. And it is, as you know, this is a rural sector where Khadi is made, So it gives employment to many people. And mostly older women do the spinning of the yarns, by hand or by the new model charkha and things. So its carbon footprint is also very low. So when we talk about the DNA of Khadi now to younger generation, we start the journey from Mahatma Gandhi, that this was a fabric of resilience and fabric through which Gandhi united everybody. But now that story doesn't sell so much with younger generation. So here we talk about how it is warm in winters and cool in summers, how there are so many textures that you can work with, how this is going to give employment to many people. and also to attract them, because most of them now go to malls. You know, my generation, I'm in my late 50s, we used to go to Khadi Gram Udyog before the college would start and buy some kurta or something, or our parents would go during October and buy it as a sentiment, you know, that they are contributing to the Indian economy. But the present generation doesn't want to go with that. But when we talk about carbon footprint, lower carbon footprint, sustainability, that, you know, show them things about, you know, and conduct workshops on how khadi is made, hand spinning. When they start sitting on a peti charkha, they realize how much labor goes into it, and they appreciate that, you know, that so much of time is taken by people to make this into yarn and make it into a fabric. I think that sells. In IIT Delhi, there was a Khadi Gram Udyog, the store. We have revamped that store to look like a little modern, minimalistic kind of a store. And I think that is where these stores should become experiential centers where people can go and experience hand spinning, hand weaving. And awareness about this needs to be increased amongst the young people.
Agreed.
Okay. I also want to ask, let's talk a little bit about the artisans who are actually doing the weaving. Doctor, you talked, Professor, you talked right now a little bit about the fact that there are women behind the scenes. I think one number I came across was that 70% of the people behind the scenes weaving khadi are actually women. Gaurav, if we could come to you to ask you a little bit about the process of actually sitting down and working with artisans. One of the criticisms often when it comes to embroidery and weaving in the fashion scene is that we sometimes fail to uplift the people who are actually doing the work on the ground level. We'll elevate the craft but not uplift the people. I just want to understand a little bit about how you've worked on that particular problem, what it looks like to source, to work with people ethically. What's that process like?
You know, I'll be brutally honest about this since I'm on this platform. When I go and work in the rural areas, be it Bengal, be it Bihar, Orissa, recently we're doing something in Telangana because it's really highly known for its ikat, which is yarn dyed process. The whole NHTP, which was the National Handloom Development Program, it's not reaching to its right holders, you know, who deserve to be taking a leverage of the program, which is started by the government. So when you go in the rural and you speak to them, they all say that, oh, we were 500 looms, now we are 50 looms, you know, we were 1,000 looms, now we are 200 looms. And they are really facing tough times because the generation now, they don't want to follow the footsteps of their fathers, forefathers, and they don't want to come into the bunkar community. They rather want to come to urban cities and work in malls or whatever, but they don't want to pursue this, you know. So as designers, when I personally, I also make, you know, little footage of my own and speak to their problems, because I've seen in households in rurals, the entire family is working on process of hand spinning, and the kid must be there with a little child who's also helping the family, but they just get paid for, you know, one person 8-hour shift, even though they're working for 12 hours to 14 hours. So that is something that so we tie up with these clusters, you know, so where we make sure that we are providing them enough business, and we are working with weavers, and we are directly working with our weavers. That's the first thing that we do. And then, of course, as designers, we try and modernize the silhouettes. We just are not selling you simple kurtas or bundis, but we are making various things out of khadi now, which is great. But again, like you said, you know, the problem is still to make sure that we are sustaining it and we are growing the handloomers right now in the country.
So that's an important gap that you have identified, Gaurav. Let me bring in Sudha ma'am on this as well. Ma'am, the other criticism sometimes is that khadi often made in the rural but made for the urban. The affordability factor as well that kicks in. How do you think we can bridge that?
Let me just first correct where Gaurav was talking about, you know, Khadi is under Ministry of MSME and Handloom is under Ministry of Textiles. So Khadi is made in specific Khadi institutions which are certified by KVIC. It cannot be made by any other place There are around 2,800 Khadi institutions set up in rural sector where Khadi is made and they are certified by KVIC. Handloom is, spread all over, and an independent weaver can also set up a handloom and start doing work. Khadi is hand spun, hand woven. Handloom is mill spun, hand woven. These are two clear demarcations between
Alright.
Khadi and handloom fabric.
Correct. Anything which is hand spun has to be khadi.
Yes, true. So now Khadi is managed or certified by these Khadi institutions. So it is, these are institutions which were set up before independence. So that is why they are running in their old ways. Their management is old and they are following whatever they've been doing. And now we have been given a task to do capacity building,
Correct.
to tell them about what is inventory management, what is visual merchandising, how do they attract a customer in metropolitan or a global market. Still, when you go to these Khadi institutions, most of them are catering to their local market. They are making gamchas for the rickshaw puller, towels. They are making, the kind of dusters that you use in the kitchen.
Yeah.
That is their very big product. And most of these Khadi institutions have a shop within their complex in the village from where people buy material. Khadi Gram Udyog, and there are 23 Khadi Gram outlets, they procure material from these Khadi institutions to sell from these places. So Khadi is existing at two levels. One is a level where people use it in the villages for their day-to-day life, and you'll find that in rural sector Khadi is very often used because it is very absorbent.
In a different
it's very
form, you're
absorbent.
saying. Yeah, okay.
You will find rickshaw puller guards wearing a gamcha or covering their head during winter summers or wiping their sweat. That is all Khadi that they're using. The other Khadi is the most expensive, what Gaurav was talking about, what politicians wear. Something which will be 2,000 to 4,000 to 5,000 rupees a meter kind of a thing. So what is missing is in between sector, something that young people would wear, something that would, they can wear on a daily basis, office wear. So that is missing. In Khadi Gram Udyog, you can find a kurta for 1,000 rupees, so that is available. But something that you would like to wear to the office is missing. And this is where we fit in. This is where NIFT was asked to design a project where we do things where young people can buy it, wear it for a evening wear or wear it for a day wear, and that is the target that we have got and we are working on.
How
So you'll
fascinating,
find that our clothes are mostly mix and match, so that you can wear a shirt or a trouser, and then in the evening you can dress it up with an asymmetrical jacket over it and things like that. So this is what my team is working on.
Can I just ask you, Sudha ma'am, and I'll just stay with you for this question. Students that you're working with every day, what are the parts that they're most excited? Because we haven't yet talked about the classroom experience yet. I just want to understand, when it comes to Khadi, what are they most excited about?
So as I said earlier, they were not. They were, they would just associate Khadi with Khadar or jute, as, some of them said, oh, it looks like jute and things like that. Something that jewelry wearers wear or something that politicians wear. They were aware of it that politicians wear it. But,
Khadi used to be once an identity for old-time journalists as well.
Also saying, it's a stereotype, a bit of a stereotype.
Jola style journalism used to be quite a mark.
Yes, before they started, the journalists started wearing Fab India, it was a identity for a journalist also. So gradually we started, when we were doing fashion shows for our garments, we would include our fashion show team, young students who would choreograph, who would do the fittings, do the makeup. And that was their first exposure or first touch with Khadi. We sponsored classroom projects where we gave them some 100 meters of Khadi and said, okay, now this is the base material. What kind of surface ornamentation would you do? So they would dye it, they would print it, they would embroider it, and they realized that the dyeability is very good. It's a very absorbent fabric. So gradually, and then we started taking up graduation projects, which is a 4 months project. So many students would come and work with us for their industry internship or for their graduation project. Some of them, when they had done their graduation project and they applied for management programs at IIM or XLRI, they called back to say that we were asked the maximum questions about what your experience was with Khadi. What did you learn? And when we were taking them for graduation project, we used to send them to Khadi institutions. Tell them, go and see and then design your project. So that was a gradual learning which came.
Okay.
And now the situation has changed. We get interns because we are situated in NIFT. So design students come and they say that I would like to work with you for a free internship, or I would like to have a certificate. Let me do a project for you. So this is a change because we realize that we are in a place.
Just to sort of add to what Sudha ma'am was saying, recently at the textile expo, there was this entire NIFT, there was a stall, and there was some beautiful home textile and furnishings done by Khadi, and I was blown away by that. It's not even available in the market yet, but there were so many inquiries. So really great work that you're doing. Kudos to you. Last few minutes, I just want to bring in Gaurav on that one. Gaurav, what's next then for Khadi? I'm sure in your clientele, not everybody's coming and asking for Khadi, but what are you doing for the cause to ensure that more and more of your line actually falls on that?
No, they do, in fact, now, because, we make sure that we are spreading the knowledge with our customers. And the most fascinating thing is that most of our international clients are really into this fabric,
Oh.
It's just, and also Khadi just differs from state to state. If you go to Kerala, or you are in Bihar, or you are in Himachal, there are different ways of doing different textiles, right? So MP is known for its chanderi, for example, and Ponchampally is known for its ikat in Telangana. Then Bhiwandi in MP is known for different kind of weave and textiles. So the idea is that when we work one-on-one with weavers, we can create new things. That is where we have the access to create new weaves and new and maybe, of course, put it into natural dyes like indigo and madder, and we kind of process that together. So it's hard. It's a tedious process, but it pays off, And what I personally am trying to do is I'm making sure that I'm working with set of weavers and these organizations. Of course, the people I work with are also certified, but they also source out the textiles from these small families who have 3 looms or 4 looms, and then they supply to the organization. But when you work with them one-on-one, you can really create whatever you like. So going forward, we are making sure that we are also adding new weaves to it, like bamboo. We are also working with bamboo now, hemp, Pinatex, which is pineapple fiber. And these are really, what I'm wearing right now is bamboo. So it's something really beautiful. Even more breathable. And then again, you mix it with Khadi, and you can, make your own variations of compositions, and that's amazing. So
Awesome,
going forward, we are pushing it. We are pushing it further. Yeah.
Good to know. Gaurav and Sudha ma'am, thank you both for joining us and sharing all your insights. We're hoping the viewers are leaving this program inspired to go pick up their Khadi next time around.
It's like sitting with 2 libraries, and understanding how to do this. I also found that in Star Wars, some of the Jedi robes possibly were made of Khadi.
Really?
But that was like a confirmed, unconfirmed fact, which is why we didn't start the show by saying it. We're going to head into a short break.
They're always futuristic, so we'll give it to them.
Yeah.